Hello.
Hey, folks. Hi.
Howdy. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Coaching to Level Up, Improving Adoption Outcomes. We are so incredibly grateful
Yay.
to spend the next hour with you. Thank you for joining us. I want to share that we have over 1,200 animal welfare organizations registered today. So you are amid fellow colleagues and animal welfare professionals just like you from all across the nation. Let's make the most use of our time today by jumping right into this wonderful content. My name's Mariah. I manage the marketing communications here at Shelters United, and I'm going to be your MC for today's webinar. So before we introduce our fabulous speakers, let's talk a bit about why we are all here today. Today we are presenting Coaching to Level Up, Improving Adoption Outcomes, presented by Shelters United in collaboration with our partners at Petfinder. In our last collaborative webinar, Shelters United and Petfinder shared ways to creatively formulate adoption profiles and how to use Petfinder's Good With tags to increase adoption opportunities for your hard-to-place pets. If you missed this presentation, you can find the replay on the Shelters United blog. It was a wonderful webinar, and I encourage you to go have a listen. In follow-up, this webinar will feature live coaching with on-the-spot pet profile makeovers. And first, we're going to begin with a Q&A walkthrough of Petfinder's platform, featuring ready-to-use tools and techniques. So we will be sharing a recording of today's webinar. We'll be sharing that next week, so keep an eye out for the replay link, and there will be a webinar handout. So before we dive a little bit deeper into our agenda for today, let's take care of a little housekeeping to help you engage with your hosts and other attendees. So you should see a GoToWebinar control panel, and it looks like this, the screenshot here. And on this control panel, you can use the question box to participate in discussion, to share your thoughts or insights regarding a topic as we're speaking, or to ask questions to your webinar hosts. Tali, our fabulous support gal today, she's going to be gathering all those questions so that we can ask them later on in the Q&A. You can enter full screen mode to see all the content nice and big, and you can adjust your audio if you have any trouble hearing or if you want to switch to headphones. There's an option to play with your audio settings. You can also just collapse it using this orange box to get that out of the way and to see the panel entirely. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into our agenda here. We'll be kicking off today's discussion with some wisdom from our friends at Petfinder. Katie and Jessica will be answering your most asked questions about Petfinder and the tools and the techniques for using the platform. Then Katie and Marcy are going to collaborate together to guide us through creative pet profile makeovers for a few hard-to-place pets, and it's going to be wonderful. You get to hear a little bit about their stories and our suggestions for making over their profile. We're so excited about that. And then finally, we'll have a live Q&A with today's panelists and marketing professionals, so you can ask all your burning questions or maybe share the story of a pet that's been hard to place for you so that we can share some ideas and inspiration. So we do have a full agenda today, full of amazing adoption marketing content. So please stay tuned until the very end if you have the time, because we've got some prizes to give away for you. We'll be giving away a one-on-one adoptions marketing consultation with our panelists. So you'll be able to ask them some really specific questions about a particular pet or a concern you have. And then we've also got some Petfinder swag. We've got some super comfy tees, a Yeti brand mug, and some cool leashes. So stay tuned until the end. We'll tell you how you can win some of these amazing prizes. All right, let's get this party started. I am proud to introduce you to Jessica and Katie Schmooky. which I love to say. It's such a fun name. Let's talk about our first guest, Jessica Arnold. Jessica is a marketing manager for Petfinder and Purina. Since 2018, Jessica has been building really deep relationships with shelters and rescues, working to find the best possible homes for more than 1.8 million animals every year through Petfinder. Also during this time, Jessica has worked with the Purina Shelter Champions to provide the best nutrition possible to the pets in their care as they wait their forever homes. Prior to Purina, Jessica spent 8 years leading the fundraising efforts for the Humane Society of Missouri. Jessica came to HSMO through an extensive fundraising career that bridged the visual and performing arts, social services, and childhood cancer. Jessica shares her home with 3 dogs, 2 teenagers, and her husband of 19 years, Eric. We'll also be hearing from Katie Schmuke. Katie is a customer success specialist on Purina's Petfinder team. Her career started at the Central Missouri Humane Society as an adoption counselor, which eventually led to her job at Purina. She manages animal welfare conferences for her team, and you may have seen her on the road in the past leading Petfinder workshops. Currently, she manages relationships with our Petfinder members and helps empower them to make the most out of their Petfinder pages. She lives in St. Louis, Missouri with her husband, 8-month-old daughter, and 2 dog models and 1 rotten kitty. All right, please take the stage and share your marketing wisdom with us.
Thank you, Mariah. So as Mariah mentioned, this is kind of a part 2 of sorts from the webinar that we co-hosted with Shelters United earlier this year. We had an amazing time talking with all of you and doing some great kind of profile makeovers. And there were so many excellent questions that came out of that. And we heard from a lot of webinar attendees. We were just really, really inspired. So one person's feedback in particular kind of gave us all a good happy cry. So Caitlin, if you are out there again today, thank you for sharing this with us. I sent it to the entire Petfinder team, and I don't think there was a dry eye in the place. This is why we come to work every day. It's to help dogs like Rita find their soulmate. And so this kind of feedback got us to thinking what else we could do. The timing of the first webinar was really great too, because after we had the webinar, we went to Animal Care Expo hosted by HSUS. And it was really amazing to have folks come to the booth and say, we watched the webinar, we got to talk to you all about what you liked, we got to ask questions about what helped. And it was a great connection, and it really built on the relationships that we hope to have with all of you. So I'm mentioning that now because here we are, June 9th, at this great webinar number 2. And in a month, in just 4 short weeks, we're going to be at the Best Friends National Conference in Raleigh. So if you're attending that conference as well, if you're on today, please come find us. We're going to be in a booth right next to our partners at Shelters United. We want to meet you. We want to get more thoughts and feedback. We're going to have awesome new t-shirt designs to give away. And we just really want to be able to connect. So make sure you find us if you're going to be there. We would love to hear from you. So what all of this got us to thinking about on the next slide was, what can we do? What more can we do? And with all of the feedback and the questions we got from round 1, we decided the best thing that we could do is host a session to specifically address some of the questions that are frequently coming up, bust some myths about the platform, and then really do some real-time pet profile makeovers to show in practice what we're talking about when we're making suggestions to improve the profiles on site. So we are hopeful that this is going to help get your pets into homes even more quickly. We are hearing from partners around the country that adoption pace and demand is slowing. And if we can take a little bit of time to make profiles even stronger and get pets into homes even faster, or just spark a creative idea for you all, it's well worth our time, and it's time that we love spending with you. So Katie's going to jump in and talk through our first kind of Mythbuster FAQ.
Yeah, hi everyone. All right, so we can jump into the next one. I'm gonna start off with just a quick housekeeping reminder for your Petfinder accounts. Please do not ever share your password. So sometimes you'll, I mean, just in general with email, not even just our platform, but I get emails like this all the time asking to link something to my social media account or sharing a password or upgrading a membership on something. So Petfinder currently does not ask for your password unless you have asked us to reset it. And even then, we'll send you a direct link to Petfinder to reset your password. So please do not click on any kinds of links to link your social account or upgrade your Petfinder membership. That is not a thing right now. So, and I will also caution that you can absolutely share your Petfinder pets to social media, but you can do that right within your Petfinder account. So you don't have to do any other kinds of logging into your Facebook account or anything like that. So please do not share your password. And if you're ever in doubt, you can email outreach@petfinder.com. And we can put that maybe in the chat, or we'll send it out, but it's just outreach@petfinder.com. If you have any questions, if anything looks a little sketchy and you just want to run it past someone, we'll usually get back to you within 24 hours. So now that that's out of the way, let's go into some FAQs. All right, so far and beyond, the number one question that we get from our Petfinder members is, how do I disable the Ask About button? So we can go on to the next slide here. And for those who aren't familiar, I'll just give you a little bit of background on this because this has been a couple different names over the last couple of years. So it started as Ask About, and then it eventually went into Introduce Myself, and now it is Start Your Inquiry. So as some background, in the past, let's say 5 years, we introduced this ability to ask about the pet, and people, our Petfinder members would get inundated with questions about these pets that were in their care that, sometimes the answer was already in the pet profile. And I can just picture some people, it's a good thing not everyone has their camera on, because I know some people are probably trying to throw things at their computer right now. But people were inundated with questions, and we got a lot of complaints about that. So we heard it loud and clear. And so our goal with the next iteration of this was to rework this form so that it was less quantity of inquiries that were coming in and a higher quality of inquiries. So we required everyone who was asking a question to kind of fill out a form in advance, just to give the shelter or rescue a little bit more background on the person, to show that maybe they were a little bit more serious and not just asking questions to ask questions. So this is when we called it the Introduce Myself functionality. And then we started getting inundated with complaints and people saying, wait, I'm not getting any inquiries. So it went from being way too much to not getting any at all. So we got a lot of requests to undo whatever we just did. So in August of 2021, we kind of dialed everything back and we made this button as Start Your Inquiry, so that people kind of knew, I'm asking about this pet. This is not me applying for the pet. I am not, I'm hopefully going to be asking a specific question and reading through the profile before I submit any kind of question about them. So as of right now, we believe inquiries have returned to somewhat normal, but we are still working, and this is a process that's going to be ongoing, and we're going to keep perfecting it. We want to really have our members getting these quality inquiries from people who are really serious about adopting their pets. We know you're all busy, and we don't want to waste your time with inquiries of information that's already in the pet's profile. So we're trying to get it as best we can. I will say, if you ever have any suggestions, our outreach team is constantly providing feedback to our tech side of the business. So you can always email suggestions to outreach@petfinder.com, and we're more than happy to hear them and write them down. And I will go on to the next slide here. This just kind of shows you what the Ask About and Introduce Myself inquiry kind of looks like. And this is kind of comparing the pets to the adopter here. So it's just kind of a nice little visual, lets you know what you see on the adopter side of everything. And so now I will pass it over to Jessica for the next one.
So I think my camera's coming back on. There I am. Okay, so it's completely frustrating when you swear something has changed on site and you don't know what that is. And we get it. You're overworked. You're trying to literally save lives, and you just need to know if people are inquiring about your pets, and if they aren't, why. So we understand that sometimes you just want to know what's been done to the site. But here's the truth to the question that we get really frequently about what we've done to Petfinder's algorithm. So if you want to hop to the next slide, this is the honest truth to that question. Petfinder search results are based on the search criteria that the pet seeker is using. So it's really that simple and basic. The pet seeker enters what they're looking for and the platform returns it. And there are some limited things that pet seekers can filter by, like nearest, farthest, oldest, newest kind of stuff, but there's really not anything beyond that. So when you're thinking or questioning if your pet is getting views or if the pet profile is being seen or why they aren't getting as many increases you would expect, hop on to our next most commonly asked question. If you swear that your pets aren't getting seen and your pet needs to be returned in search results more often, here is my best suggestion for you on the next slide. Check to see if the pet's listing has the health and behavior traits tagged in them. And this will make sure that the pet is matching with pet seekers more easily. So if you look over at the right half of the screen, you'll see the strong match and the good match flags on these pets' images. That's because I entered pet seeking criteria or filters in the center of this slide underneath the will flag it headline. You'll see breed, age, size, gender, and you'll see that I have some of those indicated. So that's how I've decided to narrow my search. And then the resulting return is those animals that are marked as a strong match or a good match, or it looks like little Miss Marvel is maybe a match in some areas, but not as strong or as good as the other ones here. So essentially, if you are able to tag that pet, we can then flag it for potential pet seekers and potential adopters. So it does take time, and we are asking you to take an extra step if you think something is wrong, to go in and check that pet's profile. But it allows you to accomplish more and potentially match that pet up. So the next slide is a little bit of fact offering for you all to talk more in depth about using those tags. Does it really matter? Because yes, you are busy. And the answer is it kind of does. I mean, almost 40% of search results sessions use at least one filter. And to quantify that for you all, in the past 6 months, there have been 124 million pet searches on Petfinder. That's 124 million. So 39% of those are using at least one filter, meaning that 48 million pet searches on our platform have used at least one of those filters that we've just talked about. To me, that matters. And here's the thing, if you have gone in as a pet seeker and used our pet seeker profile tool that Katie kind of talked through, it's kind of fun. And you know, pet seekers are in a happy mood, and who doesn't love an online quiz? And it's a quick 60-second Q&A that they run through that just helps them create what they're looking for, and then applies that to pet searches for them. So when you're not getting the views that you would expect, make sure that that pet's special characteristics are called out and that their distinguishing features are highlighted. And then they are more likely to be connected with seekers in the area that you're offering pets in. So this was kind of the tip of the iceberg for us, a little bit of an aha moment. And we started looking much more closely at pet seeking behaviors. So on the next slide, I'm going to share some of the learnings that we've gathered. So across all searches that use a filter, age is the filter most often selected. Not shocking that among that, young and baby are most commonly selected. But something that I found interesting, a quarter of all dog searches that use an age filter are selecting adult or senior. And if we set age aside completely, there's a little bit of nuance between cat and dog. So cat searchers are more interested in coat length and color. Dog searchers were more interested in size and breed. When I thought about this, it kind of made sense to me because I've been hearing that our large blocky-headed friends are spending a little bit more time in shelters and are the ones that are moving a little bit more slowly. So to answer the adorable little dude in the middle, it seems that small dogs are still moving okay. And I'm not trying to make light of that situation. I know that you all are struggling with this problem in very real terms every single day. But as we start to look at these kind of little bits of wisdom at Petfinder, we're trying to start to dive into the why behind it. So if we can start to understand the hesitation of potential pet seekers to large dogs, we can start to communicate and we can start to equip you all with the tools to communicate to potential adopters the benefits of bringing a medium to large size dog into the home. Personally, I tend to prefer them because I actually think that they're a little bit more calm than their tiny counterparts. And it seems to me, I've always felt like the best apartment dog is a gigantic one because all they want to do is sleep all day, for real. So we're kind of dipping our toe into all of this research and background. And so I wanted to give you a couple of more insights. On the next slide, this adorable little guy is asking a very serious question here. This was a fun fact that I would love to get your guesses on. And I think for our next webinar, we're going to need to do some polling, and we're going to see if you all can answer these questions with what pet seekers were actually replying with. So can you all guess the most preferred color searched by both dog seekers and cat seekers? Katie, Marcy, you all chime in because I know I asked this question to you both. What was your initial response?
This totally shocked me. I will be honest. It kind of blew my mind. So I won't share it, but as a cat mama who has had a cat of this color, yeah, it was meaningful.
I would thought for sure like a yellow or golden kind of color, brown, let's say.
I know, this was shocking. So the color of the slide is your answer. It was black. That is the most preferred color that is searched by both dog seekers and cat seekers. So while it's 11% and 18% respectively, that's still the highest percentage for both categories. All of the other colors are less than a percentage, less than this percentage. So I mean, coming from a place that had a black dog club for adopters, I mean, I know the struggle that they face, and I know the struggle of photographing the dark face in the dark kennel. Like, this is mind-blowing to me that there's actually a preference that's indicated out there. Another factoid that we recently uncovered, that while half of all dog and cat searches were small, which we mentioned earlier, a full quarter of cat searchers were looking for large and extra large cats. Like, who would have thought that they wanted gigantic cats, which I like big cats and I cannot lie going in my head for some reason. But if you want to hop over to the next slide, really what all of these little tidbits of information are hopefully going to do for you all is give you a little bit of insight into pet seeking behaviors and hopefully empower you to create more engaging and more relevant pet postings, like perhaps calling out a giant fluffy kitty, maybe that's going to be attractive to someone in a way that we did not know was even desired. So our hope is that we're going to help you create strong, appealing pet listings that are going to quickly match. And we're going to continue to do this kind of research and return these insights to you all in future webinars. So I hope you will make a point to attend whenever possible. Now I'm going to hand it back to Mariah and get into the rest of the program.
Fantastic. Thank you everyone for participating and the questions. We got a lot of white, Jessica, and we got a lot of orange. So I think people were surprised to hear the black. So that ends our Petfinder section. Thank you for all that wonderful information. Just a reminder for all the questions, we do have a webinar handout and we will share a replay of the recording next Tuesday. So keep an eye out on your inbox. And before we move on to our pet profile makeovers, I'd like to introduce you to our next speaker, Marcy Gruby. If you follow our Shelters United Facebook page, Marcy is the voice of Shelters United on social. She started in animal welfare as a part-time employee of an animal center. And over a decade later, she's still using social media as an engine to save and enhance the lives of pets across the country. Marcy is a veteran public speaker and has taught professional social media practices to animal shelters and rescues, empowering them to voice and share their unique missions online. She enjoys reading, gardening, and traveling with her family. She currently lives in San Diego, California, and with her husband and rescue pup Ginger. So take it away, Katie and Marcy, for our profile makeovers.
All right, so we are so excited about this. This was, you know, it's something that's for work, but it's also like really fun. Like we really enjoyed putting this together. So basically, we asked some of our attendees from the last webinar to submit some of their harder to place pets, maybe pets that have been in their care or on Petfinder that just weren't really moving the way that they would like to see. And we had them submit all these profiles to us, and we picked some to do makeovers on. And for anyone who is attending who submitted a pet that we do not feature, we will be following up today or tomorrow with, we couldn't say no once we started getting into all of these. So we were like, you know what? We're just going to do all of them. So we will be sending you your own personalized feedback. That'll be coming from me. And, you know, even maybe I'll kick myself for saying this one day, but even if you're ever curious about why one of your pets isn't really moving on Petfinder and you want some suggestions, you're more than welcome to reach out to us at either outreach@petfinder.com, and they'll be able to send it right over to me. So sorry to my outreach team that's on here. All right, we can go to our first example here. So this is Dahlia. And she, I think one of the first things that we noticed about her is she's already got some awesome pictures. So a little bit of background. I know you can't really read the entire profile here, but what we do know about Dahlia is she needs to be the only pet. She would be best with older kids or no kids, and she does have a little bit of separation anxiety. So we want to make sure that she has a really awesome profile and that she is really appealing and eye-catching. So the first picture you can see of her, she's kind of looking off in the distance. You know, when people are scrolling Petfinder in general, I love to make this comparison, and you'll hear me say it throughout the rest of the presentation. And you've probably heard it if you were at any adoption options workshops in the past. But when people are scrolling through sometimes hundreds of pets at a time on the site, if you have a picture of a pet where they are making eye contact with the camera, that can kind of stop an adopter in their tracks and make it feel like they're making eye contact with the pet as they're scrolling online. So if you have a picture of this pet making eye contact, that would be an awesome photo. But if not, we don't have any for Dahlia right now. So we want to lead with a really captivating, unique kind of photo. So we can go on to the next slide here, and this is kind of what her after would look like. So we led with that adorable yawning photo. Maybe it's just me, but I am a sucker for a yawning photo. but just some general recommendations that we have here. So number one, and this will go for if you are receiving feedback from me at any point, I will tell you, do not forget you can utilize video in your pet profiles. So really, we don't recommend anything longer than like 7 to 10 seconds. So that's kind of the average attention span that we've got here. So even if it's something really simple like taking a treat or sitting or being petted gently, just these little kind of ways that Petfinder adopters can visualize this pet in their home or themselves with this pet. So just a quick video, don't forget you can utilize those. That'll set your pet apart almost immediately. Number two, I would say add a little bit about your organization's adoption process at the bottom of the pet profile. So you do have the ability to link out to your adoption application if you want. You can put that in the pet's profile. Some organizations do it right away, some put it towards the end. I would recommend towards the end so that they can read through about the pet and make sure that they're interested before applying. Number three, I said if there are any pictures of Dahlia making eye contact with the camera, that would help get a better look at her. And then I know Marcy has the same feedback, but if there are any photos that you have of volunteers with her or any staff members who are willing to have their photo put on Petfinder, this does a couple things. Number one, it helps them picture the size of the pet. It helps them kind of see that, oh, this pet is good with other people. Maybe they would do well with me. It helps them visualize themselves with that pet. And then the last piece of the last suggestion or feedback that I have on my end from the Petfinder perspective is don't forget that if you are wanting to add any kind of breed, whether it's, so we have the mixed breed option, but if you have a general idea of what kind of breed group she is, you can add that in the profile, even if it's just something like shepherd mix, hound mix, lab mix. If you have any idea of what they are mixed with, we do know that people are coming to the site and they are searching by breed. So anything that can kind of help your pet stand out a little bit more, we would recommend that. All right, and we will go on to Marcy's feedback.
So for her profile, what really struck me about Dahlia is that she had all these skills that she already knew. She was house trained, crate trained, non-destructive, and not only in her old profile, you guys had written that she was 1,000% all those things. So I really took it to mean that like she's plug and play. Like you can bring her home. She knows the rules. She's respectful of your space. She's respectful of your stuff. And potential adopters really want to know like how much training time am I going to have to put into this new family member. So really adding what she can do already right in the front top of her profile, I felt was important. And also for creativity, I did Photoshop some dahlia flowers and a flower crown. Her name is so beautiful, and dahlia evokes, you know, especially now that it's early summer, late spring in some places, you know, the flowers are starting. That's such a beautiful image. And so really capitalize on her name and her beauty. And so if you know, if a real flower crown isn't legit, like she won't fly with that, you could always do some creative photoshopping like I did, no problem. But really photos of her in a home environment showing off that has all these home skills already, I think would be really, really valuable and would really sell her what she can bring to your home and what she can already do. Okay, next one, Katie.
All right. So this is Nicholas, and he is at Fayette County Animal Rescue, and he is a very handsome boy. So the first thing that we noticed here is he also has some good photos. So the first thing that I noticed with his profile is that while it has a video, bonus points for having a video, and we can't play the video on here, but excuse me, it's just a video of him zooming around the yard with another dog. So I love that they have a video. That being said, I would not lead the profile with a video just because you can't get a clear picture of what he looks like. And again, always have the perspective of if somebody is scrolling through hundreds of pets, what's gonna stand out? So I would recommend grabbing another photo, and I'll show that in a second. But what I did want to call out here, I believe this is on the next slide, is cropping. So sometimes if you're manually adding photos, they will get automatically cropped. Excuse me. So a quick way to fix that, or check to see if you can fix that, is you'll go into edit for that pet, and then you'll see this little crop button right next to each photo. And then we can click into the next part of the slide, and it'll show you how you can kind of recenter that box around his face. So that's just something really quick and easy. And then Fayette County Animal Rescue, if you're watching, I already did this for the pictures in his profile, so you don't have to worry about him. But that is something I would recommend. Just if you're noticing that these photos are coming up a little bit cropped, you can go in there and it'll take 5 seconds to fix. And we can jump into the next slide for Niklaus. So the first one, I love this photo of him. I think he's very handsome, and I just look at those adorable jowls. I just want to scratch him. So I would start with that photo. I think it's really evoking. It just shows how stoic and handsome he is. And then I would follow with a video so that people can see him in action, quite literally. The next one is that, so Petfinder lets you feature pet characteristics. It's kind of hard to see here, but whenever you're entering this pet, you can think of just a few words that could describe him. And this organization did use those. So I would recommend leading with positive traits. And then it's said that he was a little wary, a little nervous. So I would definitely include that, but maybe a little bit towards the end. So start off with, what's going to set him apart? What are these really great traits? And then followed by, he's a little wary. He takes time to open up. So all in all, this was a unique kind of profile where I didn't have much feedback, because he really does have, he's got a great profile already. It's just kind of little tweaks that I would make just to make it stand out from a Petfinder perspective. So I'll toss it over to Marcy because she has some really fun feedback too.
Yeah, so his profile, first of all, he needs a muscle shirt. Like, this dog is so gorgeous and beautiful, and I felt that he needed a muscle shirt, just one of those guys. And also what really struck me was his name. And again, a great name can really sell a pet online, especially when you're schooling. If they have a really interesting name, it'll stop people in their tracks. So I actually looked up Niklaus, and the fact that the L is also capitalized in the middle is also really interesting. And his name means victor of the people in German, I believe. And so I use that as a fun fact to really kind of lead into his story, that he is a champion. He's overcome a lot of issues. He's come a long way, and we would love nothing more than like our love champion to find a forever home. And also, what I really loved about what you guys wrote in his original profile was you gave a review from his foster family. And I have the notes here. It says, his foster mom says he has no problem being loved on and even giving kisses. He has not barked once since he's been there. So again, leading off with his what he can do, how he's respectful. He doesn't bark. He really loves being kissed. And I would say, when we redo his profile, that his foster family raved about him. Use words like that, because this family obviously loved him so much and loved caring for him. Really invoke that into the profile when you do give a foster family review. And yeah, pump your fosters for that info. It's so important. And also for him, I would say he is kind of like a chill vibes kind of guy from what I got from reading about his profile. So I thought like a beach blanket photo shoot would be fun for summer. That he's like such a beefy guy, but he has a really sweet side. Maybe if there's some photo opportunities where he's strong, but he's sweet. Or maybe an iconic reveal, like he gets 5 stars in affection, cuddling, sniffing every single corner of the yard as well. He just seems like a really like you want to just kind of dive into his personality and get to know him more. So I love learning about Niklaus. He was awesome. Go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, Niklaus was a lot of fun. All right, so the next one we have is a 2-for-1. Margot and Mila, they are a bonded pair with Refuge Kitty Cat Rescue. So Margot and Mila are, like I said, a bonded pair, and this is what we see a lot of on Petfinder, and we get a lot of questions about, so I was really, really happy that this was submitted. And we'll go into, I guess I'll start with some background on them. So they are a little bit of a medical case. So I believe Margot Mila, sorry, is the one who is deaf, has a couple of medical issues, but what we don't really see at first until you get into the photos, and I can't wait to show you the photos on the next slide, but is they are super bonded and they really help each other since Mila is deaf. So let's go on to the next one and you'll see the adorable photos. So I can't with this one on the bottom right of the kisses. So as you probably know where I'm going with this, I love that there is a video in the profile. I would recommend leading with an adorable photo, maybe of one of them giving a kiss on the other one's cheek. So we'll go on to the next one here. These are kind of the afters. So I would recommend leading with that photo because it's just so unique and so sweet. And I think really kind of just showcases how much love that they have for each other. Like that feels like their whole profile in one of helping each other out. So from a Petfinder perspective, some of the feedback that we have and maybe some suggestions that we have. So, and first and foremost, we get a lot of questions about bonded pairs. So what we typically recommend, since we don't have a bonded pair feature on Petfinder yet, one of the suggestions we always give is to put it somewhere in the name. So some people will say bonded pair, Margot and Mila, or Margot and Mila bonded. Putting it somewhere in the name section is just going to help adopters understand that, okay, these come together, this is a bonded pair, or if they have questions, they can reach out to you. So it at least kind of introduces them to that language. The next recommendation we have, aside from leading with that great photo and utilizing bonded pair within the name, is, it sounds like these girls, and I know it's kind of hard to read the profile, you definitely don't have to, they've been through a lot and they deserve a really amazing home. So we would recommend leading this profile with all of the amazing personality traits, followed by highlighting some of the care that will be required. So Petfinder and Purina did some really great research on hard to place pets, and we specifically did a section on pets that had medical needs. And what we found was that pets, when you lead the profile with the work that was required, followed by their personality traits, it made adopters less likely to ask more about them. But adopters or profiles that led with the positive traits, followed by the medical care that is required, just switching that order of those made them 1.5 times more likely to adopt that pet. So that would be our recommendation on that side. The next little bit of information I have here and next suggestion is don't forget to add some information in there about adoption fees, a little bit about your adoption process. And last but certainly not least is, since these girls will require quite a bit of extra care, consider adding in how you as an organization are able to support them, if you are able to support them. I think a lot of adopters, if they see a medical case, they kind of think they're going to be on their own after adoption. But if you have already put so many resources into these pets and so much time, if you're able to kind of connect them with some post-adoption support, put that in the profile so that they know they're not going to be alone. So I will hand that over to the next part, over to Marcy.
I loved Margot and Mila so much. And I think what really struck me was that this is a love story. It's just a love story between two spirits. And so when I rewrote their profile, I also reframed it for Charles Dickens. It's a heartwarming tale of two kitties. But how they're best friends who have proven their loyalty and love for one another through the ups and downs of life. And I think with bonded pairs, and especially because Mila is deaf, and I got the sense that Margot was, I know when it said when Mila was napping, Margot would go up every morning and wake her up. And even though Mila is deaf, Margot would still meow at her and chirp at her like, it's time to get up, come on, let's enjoy the day. And so it feels like they help each other and they support each other. And for any bonded pair you have, really highlight what they offer for one another and tell their story that way, because it brings in the storytelling themes that we all love. Like we all love like a love story, a story about overcoming odds, a story about, you know, unending friendship, like Stranger Things. That's what Stranger Things is about. It's all about friendship and overcoming together. And so utilizing story themes with that, I feel is very powerful. And this story is very powerful in that way as well. Your photos are amazing. Like I can't say anything wrong about them. They're absolutely gorgeous. And I also like that you frame the health issue in a way that the care is a little bit mitigated, and that like you stated that Margot takes her medicine like a champ, which is, for anyone who's had to pill a cat, it's so like, yes, I want that cat. How awesome is that? An extra idea I had was to get this pair in front of people more often, perhaps on social media. You could do like a weekly caption contest with all your amazing photos, pick one photo, or because they're so in love with each other, they have a lot of relationship experience. So you could do like a relationship column, you know, ask Margot and Mila your relationship advice, and they would give advice back. I thought that would be a fun way to share them. Yeah, so go ahead, Katie, with the next one.
All right, Huggable Josie, which bonus points to you for the name. I love this name. So Josie is, a couple quick facts about Josie is she is FIV positive, and she has no teeth. So we will go on to the next one here with her after. All right, so first thing we did here was just update the photo so you can see her beautiful eyes kind of looking into the camera. The next suggestion we have is don't forget a link to your adoption application or just your adoption process. The next thing I want to talk about here, which is kind of unique to Josie, but really to anyone who has FIV positive cats in their care, is to try to remember what it was like before you knew what that meant. So not all adopters know much about what FIV positive means. So just try to explain that a little bit, that they can live a life just as happy and long as any other cat. So try to include a little bit of information about that along with some of the care that's going to be required in the profile. And then again, if you have any more photos or if you have a video of her, I'll never stop saying that, add a quick little video of her, even if it's playing with a little feather toy or just kind of running around doing a little zoomy if you can. I'll pass it over to Marcy.
I mean, it's such a powerful name, Huggable Josie. Like it immediately wants me to see a photo of her hugging someone or being hugged. So I would definitely recommend doing that. Like you state that she is huggable. So why don't you, instead of telling people, really showing people her skill in that? And also her story on how she's so exceptionally sweet and lovable, even in, you know, she was rescued from a colony, but she was so friendly and outgoing when she was rescued. And even when she had her spay surgery, she was found nuzzling her care team after her spay. I just think that's so powerful. And that's sharing her personality through her storytelling was how I rewrote her profile. And also, I thought I got a little kind of a dorky inspo from her story. So I rewrote the pop hit Call Me Maybe in Josie's story. So use it if you will, but I'm not going to sing it, but I'll say it. So it says, hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but I love you. So pet me maybe. I was found in this kitty colony, but I came right up and purred like crazy. Hey, I just met you. My love ain't lazy. So take me home so I could be your baby. I just think she's so lovable and sweet that someone would read that and like immediately like just want to take her home. But definitely using those personality describers like her mood, her attitude, and her opinions on really showcasing her, how amazing and sweet she is. So I love Josie. And last one for you, Katie.
All right, last but certainly not least is Kane from Montgomery County Animal Services. And I am so glad that we had an animal care organization, animal control organization submit their pet, because I know that maybe for some folks on the call, you're thinking, gosh, this is all great if I had the time to write these profiles. So this is, I understand that the time is definitely a factor. So with Kane, we have a great photo, a really amazing photo of him. He's very handsome. But we don't really have much else other than he's a handsome boy with energy to spare. So from here, we can go on to the next slide. Perfect. Really quick things you can do. Add in those characteristics. Those are just one words, like quick little one word descriptors you can put into the Petfinder profile. Don't forget to utilize those good with tags. That is something that we honed in on the last presentation. If you weren't here, it showed that using our good with tags, whether you know if they're good with other pets, kids, cats, any other animals, that actually reduced their time on our Petfinder site by 20 days. That is insane. So if that's the very bare minimum you can do is those characteristics and the good with tags, utilize those. Try to add in some just short and sweet information. Marcy's got some really great suggestions on that, so I won't steal her time too much. And then just try to utilize your volunteers as much as you can. Even if it's, putting a quick little post-it note next to his kennel and writing one word that the volunteer can think of while they're out interacting with each other and putting that in the profile. So just something quick and easy like that. But Kane is a very handsome boy, and I really liked working on his profile. So I'll toss it over to Marcy.
Yeah, he's super, super cute. And not a lot of info, which we sometimes don't have a lot of info if someone's new or we're busy. So I like that this was a bit of a challenge. And all I know is that he had a lot of energy. He loved to play games. He loved to play fetch. And so I kind of rewrote his profile as if he was like a four-legged babysitter who will like run your kids ragged for you, and everyone will be tired by the end of the day because he's so busy entertaining all your family members. That's the way he'll contribute to your family. But playing endlessly, fetch anything in sight, and that he even invents his own games to play with himself and with other people, which I thought was a little bit like Mary Poppins, but really use personality describers, like I mentioned, and we talked about this in the webinar previously as well, where moods, attitudes, and opinions, really describing those will help you write a profile, even if you only have, say, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to do so. Also, like what title would he get? Would he be class clown? Would he be the four-legged babysitter? Is he the greeter of your family? How would he fit into a family so someone would read his profile, they can imagine him in their life? So answering those questions about what is their ideal family, what are their gifts and strengths, and what can they offer a family? And we'll end with Rita. So sweet. I love this story so much. And thank you, Caitlin, for being so generous with your time and giving the deets on Rita's story. So what Caitlin did was that she attended our last webinar and she tried a new kind of event. Because when you get pets in front of people and let them do the hard work for you, they'll just make people fall in love with them themselves, because that's who they are. And so giving a potential adopters to see them and meet them and interact with them before maybe knowing all the health stuff, a potential adopter may overlook that because, oh, it's too late. Met Rita, in love with her, she's got to go home with me, which is what happened. Path of Hope did a long-termer adoption event where they brought some long-termers to a local brewery. They had a meet and greet, and Rita found her home. Literally someone said, dude, called his friend, dude, come down here. Your dog is here. You need to adopt this dog. She's amazing. And so this guy, her new dad, came to the brewery, met Rita, fell in love, and that was it. And so Rita did all the hard work for us and made someone fall in love with her because she's the sweetest. And she's so happy now. And I'm so glad that we got to just play a little part in helping her find a forever home. So I'll turn it back over to Mariah for questions.
Awesome. That was so fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the profile makeovers. I know our teams had a lot of fun receiving your stories and learning more about the pets and offering these recommendations for you. So in the handout for the webinar, we actually have more ideas and we go into a little bit more depth on each of the pet profiles and give you some more ideas and inspiration. So keep an eye out for that. And throughout the webinar, we got tons of amazing questions for you. So we are going to have a live Q&A. We can answer a few of those. Knowing that we're coming up on the hour and trying to be respectful of your time, we do just want to share before we get into those questions a really exciting opportunity for anyone that's not a member of Shelters United. We'd like to personally invite you to join our growing community. This is the only group purchasing organization for animal welfare. We have over 1,300 animal welfare organizations that are saving money as members of this free buying group. Many of you are on our webinar today. Hello. And how much money, you wonder? Well, members saved over $2 million collectively in 2021, and we're just so proud as a team to share that we've helped members to save that $2 million. So as a member, your benefits include everyday low discounted product prices on thousands of products that you need to heal, protect, and adopt out healthy pets, all through our group distributor, MWI Animal Health. It's completely free to join. There's no fee. There's no order requirements. So literally no catch for you to join this wonderful program. And then we have some people on our team that are always working with manufacturers, pet product manufacturers, to get you exclusive discounts that you won't find anywhere else. And we have a lovely team of member consultants, people that are veterans in the industry, super knowledgeable, willing to help you with anything from product recommendations to finding discounts for you. They are available as a resource that you get to use. And so if you'd like to connect with a member consultant about how you can join and start saving, there's a phone number here, an email, or you can visit our website, sheltersunited.com. And at the end of today's webinar, there's going to be a brief exit survey, and there you'll be able to indicate that you'd like to learn more about joining this free program. All right, thank you for your attention there, and we're going to jump back to the live Q&A. So we've got some great questions, ladies, and I am going to ask this to the Petfinder team. It's asking, if you update a profile or photos of a pet, does it get bumped up to the top, and does it act as like a new search results?
So unfortunately, the answer is no, it does not. Like Jessica said, with our algorithm, everything is pretty much randomized. So it does not get any kind of, even if new pets don't necessarily get a priority, older pets don't get a priority. So it's all randomized, but that is an excellent question.
We have somebody asking, are you able to add an age range for children that they might be better suited for?
Excellent question. That is something we talk about all the time on our team. So I think right now we are working on, or either Jessica can correct me if we've released this already, where when we say child, we define it as 8. So they're good with kids up to 8 or 8 and above. So that's kind of the age range that we have right now. Now, if you know specifically what age range you would recommend, we would just say put that in the profile. If you've tested them with a 10-year-old and they did great, put that in there. And of course, say we would recommend a meet and greet with any kids younger than that age range if you're concerned.
Okay. Did you want to add anything, Jessica?
I'm actually looking at a message from our tech team right now. The plan is to update our pet upload that will show kids over or under 8, but it's not live yet. So when Katie said either coming or already there, coming.
I got 8 right.
Stay tuned. All right. We have a question about shelter software. So we have someone that uses a shelter software like PetPoint, and they're wondering if there's anything in the works to include health and behavior options within the automated feeds.
So we are developing our relationships with a number of shelter software partners. In a future state, yes, we would like more seamless kind of import of information from PetPoint into Petfinder. So again, coming, we're not quite there yet.
Let's see.
I like these. It feels like rapid fire.
Another Petfinder question. What happens after we reply to an inquiry? A lot of people are saying they're not getting our responses.
I would say if you know people are not getting your responses, I would email help@petfinder.com. So ideally, when they send an email through the AIF, adoption inquiry form, that will go to whatever email address is connected to the profile on your end as a shelter or rescue. Now, ideally, when you reply to them, it will go directly back to the email address that they emailed you from. Now, I would always recommend to check the junk folder because sometimes it does tend to end up going into the junk side. But yeah, that's what I would recommend. But if you're noticing that it's something consistent, I would just send an email over to our help team, help@petfinder.com.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say junk folder, that makes me think of what the address would be coming from, that reply to address. Is that something they can say, oh, look for this email address? That's where it would be sending from?
I do think so, and I can't think of that email address off the top of my head.
But it's Petfinder's email address and not something like related.
It's kind of a longer email address, I want to say. It's not like someone@petfinder.com.
Okay. All right, a question that Marcy, you might be able to share your expertise on as well. Somebody is asking if you guys recommend a certain length for a profile.
Gosh, I would say something that is easily read or scannable. If you noticed in the profiles that I wrote, there's some parts that are bolded. So you can definitely use that because people only have a limited time, especially on the internet. You know, if something is read in probably under 20 to 30 seconds, it's probably what I would recommend. So if you do have a longer story, like Margot and Mila's story is longer because they had a lot more information about both of them and what they need to live in a to have a successful home. Definitely, if you're writing on a newsletter or you know, another form, or even on social media, you could use if you Google Instagram fonts, you can actually change the font so something is bolded, something that is easily scannable. And also break up, don't use long paragraphs, but break up the paragraphs a little bit easier so it's easier to be read and digested in a shorter amount of time. But probably not something that's longer than 30 seconds to be read on the internet.
Yeah.
All right, I've got some more questions. If you ladies are fine to stay over for a little bit to continue answering.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
so if anybody does need to join or to jump off rather, I just want to share the Petfinder email. If you guys had any questions regarding your Petfinder listings or accounts, Katie shared outreach@petfinder.com for any support, and then look for that replay email and the downloadable. And I also want to share that we have a new Petfinder webinar in the series. This is going to be webinar number 3 together, and that's going to be happening on September 22nd. So keep an eye out for that upcoming webinar. There's going to be some brand new Petfinder features that they're going to be walking us through on the Petfinder dashboard. So keep an eye out for that.
Awesome.
And thanks so much for joining us today. We're going to continue with Q&A, so feel free to stick around with us. And let's see, somebody's asking, oh, I liked this one because I'm on the marketing team. I like me some data analytics. So somebody said, is there data analytics that we can look at to see how each of our pets are doing on Petfinder?
Yes, I love this so much. So whenever you log into your Petfinder profile, you are immediately met with a dashboard. So you can go in and see your stats. And we also have a specific section within your profile where you can see your stats. And I always recommend this. So especially if you have pets that are not moving quite the way that you would like and you see our webinar and you're inspired to try something new, I would recommend going into those stats. You can look at individual pets to see the amount of views they're getting, the amount of inquiries that they're getting, and then the amount of inquiries you're getting as a whole. So I would recommend kind of taking a before screenshot and then analyzing it as you make these changes, just to kind of see what helps you or if it helps, and then that can help you decide what changes you want to make for the future. But yeah, definitely play around within our stats on Petfinder. I love them.
I would recommend too, yeah, that before and after, I think is really important. If you make a change to the profile or add a video and you can see the difference, that's, yeah, really paying attention to views and data is important.
And what kind of trends can you pick up on?
Yeah. I will also quickly tease that we have a new and really robust reporting feature coming out at the end of June. So stay tuned.
Woohoo.
That's good stuff. Somebody's wondering, are we able to link our individual adoptables to Facebook or just our entire Petfinder accounts?
Go for it.
You can link, yeah, you can link individuals. So if you go within, let's say you just published a pet on Petfinder. So Lenny is my dog's name. So let's say I just published Lenny. You can go into that pet's profile on your end, on the Petfinder end, and it'll have little icons that say share to Facebook or to Instagram. And then we also have a unique link that you can copy and put that within any of your social media pages.
And again, that does not require you to link to, you don't have to link your entire account. We don't want you doing that. It's just those individual pet profiles. No password should be required.
Yes.
Okay. Someone sharing that they're no longer breed labeling dogs based on aesthetics, specifically when we encounter mixed breed dogs, and they're wondering how that hinders the profile matches.
I don't think that necessarily hinders the profile match. If you are using mixed breed, that's great. But if you are giving the other kind of distinguishing characteristics of that animal, there's still a high likelihood that they're going to get matched with pet seekers, because pet seekers aren't solely searching on breed. It's one criteria. So I wouldn't feel too traumatized by the fact that you're taking breed out. If that's the best representation of the pets in your care, we're fully supportive of that. You do what's in the best for the pets that you're caring for.
Absolutely. And then I would also recommend utilizing those good with tags. If you know this pet is good with other animals or kids, and then any of the special characteristics, just to call out some of their top personality characteristics, because I could really go into this, but I won't in the interest of time. But yeah, there are definitely ways that you can make that pet stand out, aside from if you're not using breed labels.
Okay. What about any advice on marketing transport dogs specifically?
Telling that story, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if you're partnering with transports and you're partnering with other organizations, early as possible, asking for, do you know where this dog or cat came from? Do you know the situation? Any kind of little tidbit that you can get with your organizations or groups or people that you're working with. Were they quiet on the way up? Were they missing people on their way up because they love people so much? Any kind of personality describer or backstory that you can grab, get it, and keep it. And any little tidbit, you never know what you can base a story off of. I know that we had in my experience, I remember a transport doggy we had, and she had fur loss on her back, and she was ready to give birth. She just waited until she got to our center and then finally gave birth to 3 gorgeous puppies. But we asked the transport, like, you know, there's this fur loss. Do you know anything about that? What is that? And the transport partner was able to tell us that they think that she was burned by some kind of acid or some kind of chemical. So we shared that part of her story, just to share her background, that she's a mom, a working mom who, you know, is super sweet and still caring for her babies and needs a loving home, and she's had a hard life, but that doesn't define who she is. And again, I think that's something we can all identify with, that, you know, life is hard, but, you know, we make the best of it. And I just, any kind of backstory, I guess. That was a long rambling way to that, but you know, having good relationships with your working partners, that, you know, you're able to share information to really share who these pets are and their stories.
I totally
So
agree.
also on Petfinder,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, we're saying the same thing. We have a transport feature on Petfinder, so that allows members to flag a pet that's able to be transported and tag all of the destination cities that it can be traveling to. So then you can have the pet appearing in search results in other parts of the United States, and that will get that pet even more eyes on the profile. And if you need help using the transport feature, Outreach can help you with that.
Wonderful. Okay. What about the best way to express if a dog is dog reactive and needs to be the only dog?
I think Marcy has done a great job of this.
Yeah, so the only dog, that was Dahlia. She was our needed to be an only dog. And I think framing again what they can bring a family, and how her foster and her organization discovered that she just needs to be like 100% your date every single night. You know, like, she's your only child. She wants to be an only child and love her parents 110% is what she'll give you. And, you know, using her personality, that she's great companion for like someone who studies at home or works from home, that she's great at hoovering up the crumbs under the table, that she'll, you know, watch all of Stranger Things again if that's what you want to watch again this weekend, that she's up for anything on Netflix and she won't complain about what you pick. You know, all those kinds of personality features that you can really share and showcase, I think gets people over the fact that perhaps she needs a quieter home than other pets.
Lovely. All right. We still have questions flowing in. We still have about 300 people hanging on the webinar and excited to be asking some questions. So what do you think? Do you guys want to do a couple more?
Sure.
Yeah?
Let's
Okay.
go.
All right. How about handling minor special needs, such as indoor only?
I think you can still call that out. I mean, it's still something that is unique to that pet. I think it can be a positive. I prefer my cats to be indoor only. So, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a negative by any stretch. It's just how you present the information.
What about, can you add American shelter dog as a breed?
We can add it to our list of
Yeah.
We have a list of breed suggestions that we pass along to our tech team. I can add that for sure.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah.
All right, what else do you guys have? If you guys have some last minute burning questions, type those in and we'll get them answered. A lot of people just thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed all the content today. Thank you, ladies, for all your wisdom.
Yeah, the black pet thing still like blows my mind. I can't get over that. It's so weird. Like, really?
Or the giant cat. Like,
or the giant cats.
A giant black cat.
A giant, yes.
All we need is a gigantic black cat.
Oh. That's what I had for many, many years. Well, he's all over Rainbow Bridge, but I had a giant black cat and he was my heart animal. So I am so happy that people want more black pets.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just say, if anyone thinks of questions as soon as we get off of here, you're more than welcome to email outreach@petfinder.com again, and we're happy to answer them.
Okay, well, we'll just take one more then. A final question here. How much negative information is too much? How transparent do we really need to be in these profiles?
Oh,
So humor is your best friend. I mean,
Yeah.
in our last webinar, we talked about a couple of pet postings that did a fantastic job of calling out the worst in these animals in such a humorous way that they were adopted. That like, there's a curmudgeon out there for every curmudgeonly pet. So it's just humor.
Definitely that. And I will also caution, like if they have a really hard kind of backstory that tends to be really sad, those stories work really well for fundraising. For adoption, and specifically within adoption profiles, I would try to keep it on the lighter side and focus on their future potential. But yeah, I completely echo everything Jessica said. We can share later some of the bad profiles for these bad animals, and it's hilarious.
The demon trapped in a Victorian doll, like.
Oh, if you're curious what that's about, watch the last webinar. Yeah, but I'm reminded, Marcy, of your last tip, which was just like be mindful of how much like emotional fatigue people have online these days. And sometimes, you know, we just don't have the emotional space to hear, you know, really tough stories. So the humor is fantastic. Just keep it light and share the information.
I don't think there's anything wrong with sharing the truth, but I feel that there's a way to be respectful of your followers or your Facebook fans, and in a way that I always say, I call it's emotional hijacking. It's kind of my own term for it, when you know you read something and it kind of takes control of your emotion right away. And there's a lot of stuff that we see that does that, so I always want to be respectful of anyone who's reading this, and keep it on a lighter side, be mindful of anyone who may be triggered, but also it's really important to leave people feeling empowered, inspired to help, or in a way that they can be a part of the solution. So even if they can't adopt that pet right now that may have that story, they may know someone who does, and they can share that story in a way that makes them part of the solution to helping all pets find a home.
And I would also just really quickly tag onto that. I would include, photos in that. So I would make sure that you're including positive photos, especially for the intention of adoption. I would steer clear from any kinds of graphic photos that you may have, and just lean toward the positive.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, fantastic. All right, that is our webinar today. We appreciate you so much for participating, for joining us today, taking out your time and attention. Thank you to all our speakers for sharing your wisdom with us. At the end of the webinar, there is going to be a brief survey, and we just really want to learn from you how we can make these future webinars more impactful for you. If you have ideas about webinar topics that you'd like us to discuss, or even how to use the webinar feature if you really want to have more of a community aspect and be able to chat with people, let us know. We're open to hearing that as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. We will catch you later with a replay, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Thanks to the 230 people that stayed 18 minutes.
Oh, the bitter end, baby.
Bonus points for you.
Everyone's saying so much. So they're saying worth it to stay. So thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, the prize. They're saying, what about the prize? We want the prize.
No joke.
Yes. Okay, the prize.
Oh, that's why you stayed on.
Please participate in the brief survey at the end. Everybody that fills out the survey will be entered into this giveaway. It'll be a random drawing, and we'll let you know who the winners are. I believe we're going to have some 10 lucky winners with a combination of the prizes. So please fill that out, and we'll let you know if you win the prize. Okay. All right.
Hi, everyone.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much.